we are back on 10 Count here from Hollywood Smoke in Santa Monica, California. I'm Steve Kim, joined by Michael Baca and Doug Fischer. Mike, we were at the press conference last week, the luxurious Beverly Hills Hotel, top quality lunch served by Bob Arum. They officially announced Jessie Vargas, Manny Pacquiao, but I have to be just completely blunt. The fight is what it is. I'm actually more fascinated by the fact that Bob Arum, in his own words, we're taking back the business of pay-per-view. That Top Rank is distributing this event by themselves. HBO or Showtime have no involvement in it.
I think it's very interesting, and I'm very interested to see how it plays out. In fact, I'd rather watch it on pay-per-view than actually go to the fight. It's the streaming and the internet thing for me has always been, I think it could be a saving grace for boxing. In my opinion, when people ask me, well, what's the problem with these certain fighters not getting ratings? They're on all these channels. I don't know what channel they're on. I think boxing can use the internet and stream their fights like a monthly subscription program. In my opinion, would be the best. I don't know exactly how they do it, whether it be the promoter that does it, or maybe HBO just goes exclusively streaming, or any channel. It doesn't matter. But a monthly subscription, kind of like what they do in the UK with
Box Nation.
I think that's something that, to my knowledge, hasn't been really tried in America, but I think it can work.
Here's the issue, though, Doug. The business, and I'm not saying that's not the case for Germany and England, because it is. The business in America is very fractured. I don't know if you could put everything into one umbrella, a la the UFC.
Right.
I don't.
Yeah. No, you can't, at least right now, with the way the U.S. scene is structured. But I do think that it's something just single, one-off, promoter-run and distributed pay-per-view on TV and streamed. You're going to see more of that. Golden Boy Promotions is doing it with the Canelo Alvarez Liam Smith fight. So you could watch. You have the choice of watching the HBO pay-per-view with Jim Lampley and Max Kellerman and I guess Roy Jones Jr., or you can get the Golden Boy pay-per-view and you can stream that. That's via internet, and you would get the commentary of Larry Merchant and Colonel Bob Sheridan. And what I like about a promoter-distributed stream and a promoter-distributed fight is that you could hit areas, you can hit regions that sometimes are missed when you have pay-per-view type fights. And I'll give you an example with the recent Gennady Golovkin-Kell Brook fight. Here in the States, it was on HBO. In the UK, it was a pay-per-view, Sky box office, right? Sky. There are fans in Canada that weren't able to see the fight live. Like they didn't get, like the HBO that they got in Canada was they just got the Chocolatito Yoshihiro Kamagai Soto Karass rematch that had the replay of Triple G. They didn't have it wasn't available to them in real time. It wasn't the live broadcast wasn't available to them. And I think if promoters start doing like a pay-per-view stream, if you happen to be in a region where you're not able to get the foreign television or the TV, the cable systems in your area aren't running the fight, you at least have that option. So it opens up more markets.
Yeah, I think cord cutting is also an issue. If you read the trade magazines, many people are just flat out canceling their satellite and cable
I'm thinking about it.
And listen, more and more kids, they don't watch TV the way we did. They watch it on tablets, on their phone. Listen, on the way to the Forum this week, I was watching the Miami game on the ESPN app. It's a new way of doing it. The UFC has actually been ahead of the curve here in terms of the way they distribute the thing, the way they archive their footage. You could buy it online. They have a monthly program that's very successful.
But they own everything.
They
basically have a monopoly.
That's right. They are the manager. They are the promoter.
They're the sanctioning organization. They're everything.
Right. And the other issue is, we have to be honest about Vargas Pacquiao. I think it has a chance to be a pretty entertaining fight.
I agree.
Not a lot of people are going to buy it. We have to understand one thing. The Pacquiao business is declining a lot. This is a guy that regularly did over 1 million pay-per-view buys about 4 or 5 years ago. My understanding is that the Tim Bradley fight, April 9th, may have done 300,000. So if Bob really wanted to stick it to HBO like he did back in 1996 when he took the first De La Hoya Chavez fight on closed circuit to kind of show these guys, hey guys, I have other options here. I don't know if this is the way to really do it for this particular fight, but we've covered Bob for a long time. He is the last of the real dyed-wool renegades.
Yeah, he's a guy who's willing to do his own pay-per-views. This isn't the first time that Manny Pacquiao's been on just a top-ranked pay-per-view.
Jorge Solis.
Right. That was
Alamo Dome.
that was in San Antonio, Texas. And that was before Manny Pacquiao really exploded into an international superstar. But he's been willing to do it when building up stars such as Miguel Cotto. When Miguel Cotto fought Paulie Malignaggi,
Latin Fury.
it was basically a Latin Fury. HBO pay-per-view went with Bernard Hopkins versus Antonio Tarver.
Same night.
Yeah, it was the same night. So you had Tarver Hopkins in Atlantic City, and then just an hour away or so in New York City you had Cotto Malignaggi, and it was pay-per-view, and Bob assembled his own announcing crew for that one. And so he's been willing to do it in the past, and I think that's the most interesting thing about this fight is the way it's going to be delivered to the masses, so to speak. I do think it's a good fight on paper. I do think Jessie Vargas is a legitimate top 10 welterweight. He does have a major title, the WBO belt, but we have to remember Jessie Vargas just emerged. He just won that title. So he just kind of made that step from being just another welterweight up-and-comer to like a real welterweight player, whereas Manny Pacquiao has maybe overstayed his welcome.
Yeah, and Mike, one other thing about not having HBO or Showtime. One thing that these networks do provide are platforms, shows like 24/7, All Access, the face-offs, the head-to-head. Bob says they could produce it themselves. Right, sure you can. Where's the distribution? I think we grew up, even you, Mike, in a generation, we were used to getting our pay-per-views marketed through the networks. I don't know where Bob's going to make that up in terms of the reach on this fight.
Well, I mean, like I said, if you do the monthly subscription and have everything on that platform, there's a way.
But remember,
you can
that's
make money.
not part of it. Though. But this is kind of a one-off, right?
This is a one-off, sure. To kind of answer your question, maybe he can do it on YouTube. I don't know. I mean, you can make money on YouTube.
Which certainly has a lot of reach.
Sure,
it does.
Yeah.
Another thing, you guys touched upon something. I asked Bob my last question when I interviewed him last week, and great to have him back talking to us boxing media. I said to Bob, what is the future of the business? What's the state of the game of boxing? And he basically said that every major promoter has to become their own content distributor and provider. Not just do the fights, but in essence become their own network. Now, we see that up close with Golden Boy. They have their own television studio. They stream their own fights. Top Rank moved into a new office about 3 years ago, this palatial estate bought by Todd DeBuff, and they have the capabilities. They have their own TV studios. They can make their own fight posters, their own graphics. But my question, while this sounds good, if Top Rank can do Top Rank TV, then you have Golden Boy Live, and PBC is going to do whatever. Here's the issue that I have, my greatest concern. Guys, does that lead to more of a division in the sport?
I was just going to bring that up. Like, how do you get a Top Rank guy fighting a Golden Boy guy?
Right.
Who gets to broadcast it? Who gets to stream it? Maybe they can come up with an agreement where they both do.
Yeah, they both stream it.
That would
really? You think so?
That would be an easy fix, but nothing comes easy in this sport.
Well, that's true. Yes. It's, boxing is money motivated, but it's ego driven.
Yes.
And those egos often get in the way of good business, unfortunately.
Guys, are you surprised when it was all said and done, HBO said to Manny Pacquiao, pass?
I'm not surprised at all.
Really?
No, I mean, you could tell going into Pacquiao Bradley 3, they were just tired of him. And the controversial comments that Pacquiao made, that didn't help him out. But there's Pac burnout. Since Mayweather Pacquiao, I mean, there's just we're not over that hangover of May-Pac. We're not. And it was as tough as it was for fans to endure and media to go through, it had to have been worse, on their side. The network executives on HBO and with Showtime, just going through all that crap. And for the most part, I think the boxing industry is tired of the divas. Everyone's ready to move on, including HBO.
Interesting, which they certainly have for now. Because I asked Bob, Is this permanent? First of all, he said the contract is terminated, so they're not with HBO for now. But he also said he's not ruling out a return. And I think a lot of this, again, if they exceed expectations, and I don't know what the buy rate has to be for them to hit benchmarks, he says if this is successful, I think you're going to see a line of top-ranked pay-per-views in the future.
I'll say this, Steve. If Manny Pacquiao beats Vargas, and he's favored to do so, and he looks good, and he looks like he can keep going for another fight or 2 or 3, and Arum is able to make Manny Pacquiao versus Terrence Crawford, I think HBO would be interested in that fight because they're thinking of the future.
Yeah.
They're thinking this is a launch pad for Terrence Crawford, and we want to be in the business of Bud Crawford. If Bob Arum can make a Manny Pacquiao versus Adrian Broner or Keith Thurman, I think Showtime would be interested in distributing that pay-per-view. So I think Arum is keeping his options. But if Pacquiao beats Jessie Vargas and I don't know, they talk about Pacquiao Bradley 4. That's definitely going to be a top-ranked pay-per-view distribution.
That's worse than the last 4 police academies.
You're the first person that's ever said Pacquiao Bradley.
And I hope he's the last.
Yeah.
Mike, I'll put you on the spot before we wrap it up. You said with the Liam Smith-Canelo fight, you have a wedding, you got stuff to do. You might watch it the next week.
Yeah.
Okay, on the night of November 5th, considering that your calendar might be clear, okay, are you interested in this one? Are you going to give Bob Arum $50 of your hard-earned money?
You know, I honestly didn't hear a price point.
I think
Did
it's
you?
going to be about 60. Yeah.
So same?
Yeah.
I might give it a whirl just because I'm interested to hear Larry Merchant again. Maybe he's worth
the
the
Larry
$60.
got the gig. Let me call him. I think it might be a news.
No, wasn't. No, that was the Canelo.
Larry's with,
oh, I'm sorry.
with
I got
Canelo
confused.
Smith.
I got confused.
Yeah, so you can watch that during your
man.
wedding. Just sneak off,
Yeah, I'll probably end up watching it because I've watched so many bad pay-per-views in my life. Like,
Why
what's
stop
one
now?
more?
Yeah.
But I will say this one last thing on this internet thing. The internet is the future, and I think the networks are starting to figure that out very slowly. Especially the way this new generation is watching TV. The only time I watch live TV is sporting events.
Yeah.
That's it. And I know boxing's a sporting event, but I mean, it can be easily streamed, and I really do think years from now, we're not even going to be talking about
Wait a
television.
minute, people stream boxing matches? Maybe even illegally? I don't know anything about that. Anyway, that's it for this edition of the 10 Count. On behalf of Doug Fischer and Michael Baca, this is Steve Kim saying goodbye, everybody.